Hello and welcome back to my channel and another Let's Look At. Today we have the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition Player's Handbook. I bought this is my most recent purchase for my collection because, well, it's recent in the fact that I haven't bought any since. But a vintage books, that is. Like I said in the update video, I did buy the new books. But vintage, this is the newest acquisition. I started with D&D 5th edition, so I still don't know a lot about the old editions. I know a lot now after doing a Let's Look At through the Rules Cyclopedia. But let's just dive right in. First off, it does have a name. Somebody marked it with their name. Somebody loved this book. And then we've got all these books coming out. We got campaign setting, adventure, accessory, adventure, and then just Ravenloft. Lots of Ravenloft. Dark Sun, which I do like. Dark Sun. I don't like the slaves. This sounds bad. I like Dark Sun's post-apocalyptic feel, not the other stuff. I know it can be. It's problematic to some people. I don't really care. It's just a game, in my opinion. But I like the concept of Dark Sun, the post-apocalyptic. Magic is, a little bit bad in some cases. Defilers and preservers. And I only know this much because of YouTube. I've never played a Dark Sun campaign or even read anything about them. I think I have some books about Dark Sun. I think. I could be completely wrong. But, we got Forgotten Realms, Ravenloft, Dark Sun, Al-Qadim, Greyhawk, Dragonlance. And speaking of Greyhawk, I tried to run a Greyhawk campaign. It did not go well, mainly because there's not a lot of resources, until now, for Greyhawk in 5th edition. I know that the main campaign setting for the new Dungeon Master's Guide is Greyhawk, I believe. But up until that point, there was nothing. I mean, there's, nothing mainstream. There's, content creators, there's other writers making Greyhawk campaign for 5th edition, bringing it over. But I'm just talking for the main thing. I'm getting off topic. Let's get back to the book. We got a foreword by David Zeb Cook. And then we have our table of contents. So, there's a lot. Let's look. Let me scoot that. Bring this over. So, first off, we've got player character ability score, strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Same as always. Player character races. We have dwarves, elves, gnomes, half-elves, halflings, and humans. So, no more. I don't think they have the races or classes in this edition. I think, like I said, I know a little bit about older editions, but I'm not an expert by any means. I started with 5th edition and I've been working backwards. We got player character races, alignment, proficiencies, optional proficiencies, weird, money and equipment, magic, experience, combat, lots of combat, treasure, encounters, NPCs, visions and light, time and movement. And again, we have spell list, notes on spells, wizard spells, priest spells. I mean, now in the 5th edition, in the 5.5 2024 edition, what are we calling it? I still don't know. 1 D&D? I'm just going to call it 6th edition because I'll call it 5.5 because it still is it's backwards compatible. But so this book is full of new spells. I'd like to see what spells are in this book. But, I mean, look at this art. Hanging a dragon. Probably a wormling. It's not a wyvern. It's got 4 limbs. So, but welcome to 2nd edition AD&D game. Why is 2nd edition? Before answering that question, let's define what the 2nd edition of the AD&D game is and is not. This AD&D 2nd edition game is a lot different from the original edition. The presentation of the game has been cleaned up. The rules are reorganized, clarified, and streamlined. Where necessary, things that didn't work have been fixed, things that did work have been changed. The AD&D 2nd edition game is not a statement of what any one person thinks the game should be. It is the result of more than 3 years of discussion, thought, consultation, review, and playtesting. Now to the question of why a 2nd edition. The AD&D game evolved over the course of 16 years. During that time, the game grew tremendously through play. Changes and improvements and a few mistakes were made. These were published in the subsequent volumes by 1980. Were published in subsequent volumes. By 1988, the game consisted of 12 hardcover rulebooks. It was physically and intellectually unwieldy, but still a lot of fun. The time was right to reorganize and recombine all the information into a manageable package. That package is the second edition. So I'm guessing... I'm a little confused on that. I don't know if this... Is it kind of like how they're doing it now? Like, is this backwards compatible with second edition or advanced? I'm so confused. It says, yeah, so I guess this is a second edition, but is it backwards compatible? I don't know. A note about pronouns. A male pronoun he, him, his is used exclusively throughout the second edition of the AD&D game rules. We hope this won't be construed by anyone to be an attempt to exclude females from the game or imply their exclusion. Centuries of use have neutered the male pronoun. In written material, it is clear, concise, and unfamiliar, nothing else. So, there's lots of people who say old D&D was problematic. I don't see it. Like, literally, they have a note about pronouns written in 19... Come on, give me a date. I got 1989, so it might be that. But in 1989. So, D&D's always been inclusive. I don't think it ever wasn't. And anyone who says that probably... Well, yeah, they probably... Like, look right. Note about pronouns. It's right in the book. first, right in the basics. We've got the goal, retired material. I'm sorry, I ranted a little bit there. An example of play. And then we've got glossary. Player ability scores. And it's got the old-fashioned. The 6 ability scores are determined randomly by rolling 6-sided dice to obtain a score from 3 to 18. There are several methods for rolling up these scores. Method 1. Roll 3 6-sided die, 3d6. The total shown on the dice is your character's strength ability score. Repeat for dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, in that order. This method gives a range of scores from 3 to 18, with the most results in the 9 to 12 range. Only a few characters have high scores, 15 and above, so you should treasure these characters. Alternative dice rolling methods. So basically the first one is just roll down the list, which is how I sometimes make random NPCs. If I don't know what I want to make them, I'm like, okay, I'll just roll. Okay, go down the list, strength, constitution. I don't remember the exact order, but you go down the list and whatever's the highest, you're like, okay, you're a fighter, you're a barbarian, you're a wizard, so on and so forth. But the second method is roll 3d6 twice, noting the total of each roll. Use whichever result you prefer. Oh, this is weird. This is not expected. So you roll the 3d6 twice, noting the total of each roll. Use whichever result you prefer for your character's strength score. So it's the same thing. So method 2 is the same thing, except you roll twice and take the highest, or whatever you prefer. And then method 3 is you roll 3d6 6 times, and then you allocate them as you see fit. And then method 4 is roll 3d6 12 times and jot down all 12 totals. Choose 6 of these, so it's like method 2, but combination of method 3. Method 5, roll 4 6-sided die, discard the lowest die, and the total remaining 3. So that's what we do now in 5th edition, 5.5, whatever you want to call it. We use method 5. There's also standard point by. There's point by and standard array. I like rolling though because it's a lot more fun because it's more. You're actually taking part in it rather than it being passive, where you just go, oh, I have these numbers, whatever. Method 6. This method can be used if you want to create a specific type of character. It is not guaranteed that you will get the character you want, but it will improve your chances. Each ability starts with a score of 8. Then roll 7 dice. These dice can be added to your character's abilities as you wish. All the points on the die must be added to the same ability score. For example, if a 6 is rolled on one die, all 6 points must be assigned to that one ability. You can add as many dice as you want to any ability, but no ability score can exceed 18 points. If you cannot make an 18 by exact count on the dice, you cannot have an 18 dice score. Or an 18 score. Okay, that makes sense. Then we have a breakdown of the ability scores: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence. These pages feel really good. All of my books, all of my books except for my oldest ones, are in really good condition. I mean, just look at this. It's a little beat up, but this book is old. It's older than me. Intelligence, wisdom, more fantastic art. Ability scores, what the numbers mean. And it gives you a breakdown. Wait, what? reaction adjustment, loyalty base. This is still charisma, I'm sorry. Charisma determines all that. What the numbers mean. Now that you have finished creating the ability scores for your character, stop and take a look at them. What does all this mean? Suppose you decide to name your character Wrath, and you rolled the following ability scores for him. Strength 8, Dexterity 14, Constitution 13, Intelligence 13, Wisdom 7, Charisma 6. Wrath has strengths and weaknesses, but it is up to you to interpret what the numbers mean. Here are just 2 different ways these numbers can be interpreted. Although Wrath is in good health, Constitution 13, he's not very strong, Strength 8, because he's just plain lazy. He never wanted to exercise as a youth, and now it's too late. His low Wisdom and Charisma scores, 7 and 6, show that he lacks the common sense to apply himself properly and projects a slothful, I'm not going to bother attitude, which tends to irritate others. Fortunately, Wrath's wit, intelligence 13, and dexterity 14 keep him from being a total loss. So yeah, it's basically saying, role play the numbers. Come up with a character. Like a strength of 8, but a high constitution, yeah, he's lazy. He's hardy, but he's lazy. And we got some fantastic art here of dwarves, maybe? And then I think we'll get through the races, and then we'll call it for this one. Wait a minute. Hold on. I want to read something real quick. I'm going back to the beginning. Wait. Issue classes. Okay, but it says right here, minimum and maximum ability scores. Oh, excuse me. All non-human PC races, also called demi-human races, have minimum and maximum requirements for their ability scores. If you want to have a demi-human character, the character's ability scores must be within the allowable range. The minimums and maximums for each race are listed on table 7. It's right here. So let's say if you want to be a racial ability requirements. Ability strength. To be a dwarf, it has to be 8 out of 18. Elf, 3 out of 18. Gnome, 6 out of 18. Half-elf, 3 out of 18. Halfling, 7 out of 18. So I think that I'm guessing, because like I said, I don't know these rules like the back of my hand. Like, I know a lot about 5th edition and 5.5, but these old editions are still very foreign to me. But I think what it's saying is a dwarf strength must be 8 or higher to be a dwarf. For an elf, it's 3 or higher because they're not as strong, I guess. Gnome, half-elf, and halfling are the same, and then its constitution is pretty hard across the board. Everybody's pretty hardy. But we have dwarves. We have elves. Now, in 5th edition, there are a lot of races now. Gnomes, species, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Gnomes, half-elves, halflings, humans. Humans are the main race. I know that much. We got race characteristics. We got player character classes. And you know what? I've still got some time, so we'll keep going. We'll go through the classes. Fighter. Paladin. I love paladins. They're one of my favorites. Ranger, which is kind of a sore topic in the new edition. Wizard class is mage. Okay. Illusionist. I get now it's subclasses, so an illusionist would be a subclass. But back then, I think these were just, these were the classes. You had wizard, class mage. Where is it? Yeah, mage, and illusionist, which actually required dexterity of 16. Interesting. Cleric, which is also my favorite. I like paladins and clerics. That's my thing. That's what I like. Priest of specific mythoi. In the simplest version of the AD&D game, clerics serve religions that can be generally described as good or evil. Nothing more needs to be said about it. The game will play perfectly well at this level. However, a DM who has taken the time to create a detailed campaign world has often spent some of that time to create a detailed campaign world has often spent some of that time devising elaborate pantheons, either unique creations or adaptations from history or literature. If the option is open, and only your DM can decide, you may want your character to adhere to a particular mythos, taking advantage of the detail and color your DM has provided. If your character follows a particular mythos, expect him to have abilities, spells, and restrictions different from the generic cleric. Priesthood in any mythos must be defined in 5 categories: requirements, weapons allowed, spells allowed, granted powers, and ethos. Okay. And druid, which is a staple. And we got some art. This art is so good. The art in all D&D books are good, even in like 4th edition, which I think people might disagree, but the art in every edition has always been fantastic, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. I'm not an artist. Class is thief. Bard, really? Okay, Bard. I'm not. I know Bard has been in a lot of the editions, but I don't know when it first arrived. I don't know if it was in Advanced or Basic. It's obviously in 2nd edition Advanced, but I don't know where it first made its appearance. More fabulous art for the Bard, apparently. Multi-class, which is multi-class is self-explanatory. Dual class is a little weird. Multi-class character, dual class. Only humans can be dual class characters. Okay, but everybody can be multi-class? I guess. And then we'll get to alignment. So, I think I'll call it there, and I hit my computer again. Please, for the love of God, don't fail on me. I think that's where I'll call it for today. Let me put a bookmark, which is this little cleaning cloth. But, I'm reading through it pretty fast. I'm just trying to get the bullet points. Just a quick overview of the book. I don't want to spend an hour going over every page like I tried to do with the Warhammer book I tried reading. That was the last one I did for this channel. But this book will be the one we read for a while now. But, if you enjoyed this, thank you for watching, and consider subscribing, maybe liking the video. And if you want to see more, just stick around. But thanks for watching.